Welcome back, everybody, to episode 26 of the Jader and Kyle Show. We're going to be doing things a little bit different this week, guys. Jader is on his way, but he's not here yet, so it's a little bit of a rushed episode, and we want to watch the NBA Finals tonight, so we're getting started as soon as possible. So instead of me and Jader going back and forth, we're just going to jump right into our guest this week. And we finally have another big guest on our way, and he's here right now. His name is Mr. Matt Knost, co-host of the Top 10 Show. What's going on, Matt? Good to see you.
Good to see you. Yeah, you were out of sync when I was in the waiting room, so I didn't know if it was my connection or not. But now things are looking just fine, baby, just fine.
All right. Yeah, how's everything been for you, man? You've been quite a busy guy with a bunch of new podcasts coming out, right?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I'm doing my former Collider show, Dropping Dimes. I'm doing it solo now. And then that is twice a week on Wednesdays and Fridays. And then another show called Settle the Score, which is in essence name that tune for movie, song, soundtrack scores. You're guessing the movie that the song is from. And there's a really fantastic guy that I happened to meet at one of our live shows, and he lives over in England, and he's just he can learn the song so quickly on piano, and he can play all kinds of different orchestrations. And I was like, dude, let's blatantly rip off this show from 40 years ago, and let's do it ourselves. So yeah, do those, then the top 10, all the 2 to 3 top 10 shows that come out a week.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring up Dropping Dimes, because we actually have worked together on my previous show that we had, which was called Hoopla. It lasted for about one season, but you came onto that, and you're a big basketball guy, just as we are over here. I'm a Lakers fan, and Jader is actually a Miami Heat fan. So we got a little clash going on later today. What are your opinions, man? Who's going to be celebrating by the end of this?
Aren't you a Magic fan?
No. So what is? I'm a Lakers fan, but I support the Magic, if that makes sense. Like, hey, let's just give them a little encouragement. Yeah.
Boy, that seems convenient.
No, I've been a Lakers guy. Kobe's always been my guy growing up. And then my first game I ever turned on was a Lakers game. So it kind of fueled everything. I live in Vero Beach, Florida. So we have Dodger Town here, and that's where the Dodgers did spring training. So kind of grew up with Los Angeles teams. And then when it came to football, there was no football team in Los Angeles at the time. So jumped onto the Cowboys. But as far as Florida or basketball goes, I'm a Lakers guy. So I'm excited right now. It's going to be
Who's your baseball team? You front running son of a bitch.
Yeah, I know.
Well, the Cowboys not as much, so you're forgiven for that because they're no longer America's team.
Hey,
they're not. They haven't been America's team since, like, they were trying to. They were riding that wave through the '90s, and then since it's been ineptitude for 20 some odd years.
Yes,
they have that nickname because they had that nickname.
Yes, I mean. We had that good game last week. Well, I guess I don't know if you call it a good game. It's excitement for us. We got to recover an onside kick that would have never happened before. It saved us from 0-3, and now we got kind of an easy schedule. Yeah.
I'm a Bears fan, and we're 3-0, and it's the most bullshit 3-0 in the history of pro football. So, I mean, we just changed our starting quarterback after he was 2-0.
Well, we both have the Falcons to thank for that, because we each got a win off of them from blowing leads, which is insane to see them do that again and again.
I know. It's fucking death taxes, and the fucking Falcons blowing a lead in the fourth quarter seems to be the only consistencies in life.
That's crazy. And then, so how are you feeling about Bears when we get to that? Like, are you like Nick Foles in there, or you're just
it's fine.
You're waiting for the next quarterback to come in?
Yeah. I mean, look, he's been nothing but stellar in spots.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you can just have him for 5-6 kind of key games, he seems to be really into those. It's just him as a primary starter. I have no idea how that's going to go. History dictates that he's going to be hurt in 3 games.
Right.
So then we're right back to Trubisky, but at least we're not now going to max him, which would have been the most boneheaded, just idiotic. I don't watch college football, so I don't know who these guys are until they're coming in.
Right.
But when they're getting clowned by the Niners for making the trade with the Niners as it's happening, like it's boom, they send out a tweet of their guy that they wanted sacking Trubisky or whatever it was. Like, all right, it's been no bueno. But
I could have sworn he had like 6 wins in college football his entire career, and then he gets the NFL. He has that one good year, so everyone's like, "Hey, Trubisky might actually be the future." But it's got to sting knowing that Mahomes and Watson came in that same draft.
Nobody saw Mahomes.
No,
you're lying to yourself if you said Mahomes, but everybody was keen on Watson.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know anything. I knew Watson and I'd seen a game or two of his, but once again, I don't watch college football. It's just like I don't watch college basketball because it's too frustrating now that I'm accustomed to the NFL and the NBA.
Yeah.
To watch when 1, 2, sometimes three players in football are just so far superior than anything else the other team has. What is the point of watching this?
Yeah, I gave up on college football because I just feel like the system's so rigged against so many of these teams. Like, if you're in a certain conference, you're automatically eliminated from playoff contention before the season even starts, just based on your schedule alone. So it's really not fair to all these schools who actually go undefeated and then are at the end of the year just stuck with some meaningless bowl game. It just I got kind of lost after a while, so I gave up on it. But let's jump to basketball for a second. So finals are tonight. We're really excited for it. I mean, it seems like you're excited for it too, Matt, right?
I mean, I would hope so. I dedicate my life to doing 2 shows a week, and I've watched more basketball since the bubble started than I have ever watched in my entire life. It's been nothing short of awesome. Thank you, COVID.
Yes.
I've been thankful to have that in my life, genuinely, because I feel bad. I said this on a top 10. I don't know when it comes out or if it already came out, but because we record three a week or whatever the case is. It's like, I don't know when we talk about what. But I'm so thankful that I have it in my life because it gives me something to look forward to. Otherwise, the only new stimulus that comes in anymore in this country, at least, is politics or climate change, or it's all just this tsunami of, yes, they're all problems and it's tough to deal with because it feels so overwhelming. And this is just pure escapism, which we haven't had. There's been no movies. There's been no sports. There's no concerts. There's no nothing. So to have it, I wish other people were as excited about having in their lives as I am, because it's genuinely something I look forward to. I am so geeked. And if we even came remotely close to the game, I would just cut my mic and be like, this was a lot of fun, guys, but I have to go because this basketball game is getting ready to start.
Oh, of course. And that's why we had to get started so soon. So were you scared then when the Milwaukee Bucks walked out in the Orlando Magic back a couple of weeks ago and it looked like, hey, maybe we're not going to be playing any more games anymore? When that protest was going on?
No, because the effect it would have on the CBA going forward, it'd give the owners the opportunity to tear it up. And now the players are negotiating from not equal footing. Whereas if they're partners in this endeavor, then they can come to the table in a very short amount of time and have an adult conversation about how they're going to move forward, what's the future of the league, et cetera. Mm-hmm. So there's just too much money, plus too many guys that needed to have this for their extensions, Donovan Mitchell or Jason Tatum. You need to be able to put up in these moments, and there's just too many things riding on it. That's why I didn't think there would be a COVID outbreak, because, I figured on both ends of the spectrum, any veteran that doesn't give a shit, they're not on a team that has any contention. So they'll be out pretty quick and they can mind their P's and Q's for a few weeks.
Right. Like the Wizards being in there, just doing nothing.
Yeah. But they brought all young guys and none of the vets came and stuff like that, just because they wouldn't have been tuned in.
No, I mean, and then the Brooklyn Nets didn't really show up. And it was nice to see someone like the Phoenix Suns, though, really go on that streak, and then have a shot at the playoffs, even though they lost so much in the regular season, they weren't able to get there. But it's like good going forward for next season. True.
But the West is going to be so difficult next year.
Yeah.
That I don't know if I think they could sneak into the 8 at this point, but you still have Dallas is ascending, Portland if they're fully healthy, Memphis is going to be a problem night in, night out. What happens if the Pelicans have health? And those are the teams that aren't even at the top.
Right.
So I hope it translates for them.
I mean, they're kind of just a piece away at this point, like from really contending. But who are you going to go out there and grab right now? Bradley Beal's available, I guess. Kevin Love might be someone to bring onto the team.
I wouldn't sacrifice any flexibility, any of their long-term future for next season.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, so what do you do with Booker then and Ayton? Are you going to extend? Obviously, you have to extend Booker, but DeAndre Ayton, do you hold on to him? Or
no, they hold on to him. Okay. I don't know if he'll get a max extension, but they'll hold on to him.
Right.
If he's angling for that, maybe they'll let him test, free agent, unrestricted, but it's pretty rare when a rookie doesn't get his extension.
So what's your biggest story coming out of these playoffs then? Because I feel like seeing these young players really take the next step was my thing. Like if you look at Luka having that big moment in the playoffs, that was huge. And you look at Jokic and Murray, who have really come along to look like the duo that you're going to want for the next 5 to 10 years. I think that's really been the story going forward. But what do you see?
There's a lot to be, if you're an NBA fan, there's a lot to be excited about because LeBron is only going to be able to hang on. It's amazing that he's doing this at 35.
Makes no sense.
It doesn't. And it's one of the most impressive things to me that it's his overall health, his ability for this long has been the most astonishing for how big he is, how much contact he takes, how many games he plays, how many minutes in those games he plays. I mean, leading the league in minutes this late in his life. Last year he did it at 34, now 35. He still played a healthy amount. And it seems like he kind of needs it. It's that, and he's never had a huge dust up like social media scandal, any type of nonsense like that. And he's been under the public scrutiny since the age of 16.
Yeah. The China stuff was his worst moment by far.
Hands down.
Like, and even that's not too big considering what the ramifications were. I mean, like maybe Daryl Morey is going to suffer more from that than what LeBron did. And that's another thing too. Like the Rockets, what do they do going forward? The Sixers, what do they do going forward? The Clippers just fired Doc Rivers. Like there's so much going on in NBA right now, and yet we're going into finals night tonight.
Yeah, who knows what to believe because the Clippers stuff coming out now, it's been all negative Paul George. So if it's leaking from the organization, it doesn't make sense because you're only tanking the value of Paul George then. It's not like you're not going to get a good haul for him, but you just gave up a ton to win now. It's there's all kinds of palace intrigue all over the NBA right now. I can't wait to get back to movies. I miss that. Now that I've got sports in my blood again.
Yes.
It's going to see movies again. It's just like, okay, that will get me one step back to normal.
Have you checked out any of the new Netflix stuff, like The Five Bloods when that came out on Netflix during the pandemic?
I have not watched The Five Bloods yet.
That's one of it's one of the truly great ones that came out this year. If you're looking for a great Vietnam War movie, that one. I just saw The Trial of the Chicago 7, which is Aaron Sorkin's new movie. That one, it comes in a couple of weeks, I'd say. That's one you definitely need to watch. That's going to be one of those big ones. Oh, look at Jader right here. He's joining in. Big Miami Heat guy.
How's it going, guys?
Welcome to the show, Jader.
Oh, man. How's it going, man? Sorry I was late. COVID has ruined my life yet again.
Yep.
But I'm glad to be on. I'm so glad you're a basketball fan because, honestly, I told Kyle that my opening bit today was going to be that I hate that we keep doing our damn shows during Heat games because I missed the last, 2. I would have to rewatch them because, obviously, I'm committed to this shit.
Well, I mean, what are you doing? It's 7 o'clock at night your time.
Yeah. I was working.
Okay.
I still have a normal. Yeah, I have retail job, man. You know.
Look, do what you got to do.
Yeah, exactly. But what have I missed, man? What's up? What are we talking?
We've been talking basketball this entire time, man. And honestly, we haven't talked much about the finals. I mean, so Matt, now that we're both here, who's going to be celebrating at the end of the series?
Oh man.
Well, the odds-on favorite is who you know it is.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
It honestly is. And I've been telling I love that we're in the finals, but realistically, man, I tell everybody, I'm like, you guys need to come down from cloud 9. The Lakers are nothing to fuck around with, man. No. I'm like, they're a fucking savage team. Again, I love the heart that this team has right now. I love that they're dog fighting with the exception of game 5, because that was dog shit how they played that day. But overall, man, the heart that this team has is they're definitely the underdog. But I tell everybody, man, I think I told Kyle, I'm like, I hope we can make it. If we go to 7 games, we're out. But I have Lakers on 5, to be honest with you. I'll be lucky we have 1 if we get 1.
Oh, this fucking reverse jinx bullshit. I see what you're doing there. Yeah. Do you know anybody that's saying Heat in anything other than 6? 6 is the best I've heard for Heat.
6 is the best I've heard, but I've heard Heat and 7. I heard a sweep from somebody that just started watching basketball, apparently, because I was like, "Are you fucking crazy?"
Yeah, that's not
Obviously, everybody here is optimistic, man. You know, it's our team at the end of everything, so we're going to be optimistic. But outside of Miami, I feel like
but that's what I was saying. Around Miami, do you hear anybody saying anything better than 6? That's a legitimate basketball fan.
No.
Okay.
No.
I haven't heard that yet. It's out there. I'm not saying it's not a legit take. I like the Heat a lot. You present a tremendous number of problems. You have 6 guys averaging in double figures, the worst of which is at 11.3. That's over the course of the playoffs. Duncan Robinson. Hero's at 14 and change. And then you still got Bam, and you got Jimmy, and you got Dragic. And so scoring comes in bunches from a lot of different people. And the Lakers, on the flip side, scoring comes from 2 dudes.
Yes.
2.
And then it's a question. Kuzma's at 10 and a half.
Who's going to show up? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I can rely on Kuzma and
you can't.
Or not Kuzma, Caruso and recently Dwight. Those are the 2 guys I know are going to compete every single night. Everyone else is up there. Like Danny Green, I don't want him taking shots anymore.
Yo, he's on and off, dude. No, Danny Green's not the same Danny Green that we had a couple of years ago.
I don't know what happened to him. KCP can hit threes, but like we're relying on him in crunch time. It's tough. It is. But for some reason, having LeBron and AD there is going to wipe away all those problems.
For some reason. Oh, having a generational talent and another dude who is an athletic anomaly, like a physical anomaly. 7'1" with a 7'6" wingspan that can shoot from anywhere on the floor, has a liquid smooth handle for a dude his size. Does that? What was it? Against the Blazers, he was on the right down by the baseline. He dribbled in on Nurkic, 360, 180. Back, pump fakes. Nurkic goes in the air, spins back around, and launches a fadeaway, and it is nothing but a thing of beauty. That dude is 7 foot tall.
He's nasty. He's nasty, man. Davis is nasty.
But some reason this Lakers team,
for some reason, we're still here.
Just manages.
We have gotten lucky. Portland was just exhausted going into the first round of the playoffs. Houston is just no match for us, and then we should have had the Clippers. We really should have, but Denver took them out, so we got lucky with that too.
I thought the Clippers were supposed to go the whole way.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, I had Clippers win it in my head. I mean, it's just like who's going to beat them 4 games? They just need to put together 4 solid games, and they're so fucking deep. Yeah. But dysfunctional. Apparently.
That was a scary team, and especially because they have the bench players that they have. They're nasty.
Yeah, they're as deep as you get.
Yeah,
I mean that's what Miami is. Miami's really deep too, and I think that's gonna for you. Actually, for us, the Lakers have to win kind of this year. Miami's got a future. They're going to be there every single year and make contention. Lakers, we have LeBron for about another 2 years under contract, and then what? Like, what's our team? It's Anthony Davis.
Don't give me this woe is me shit. Fucking don't, man. But you've been to 32 finals.
Hey,
32.
Don't we tie the Celtics if we win it this year as far as championships go?
Well, if you talk to a Celtic fan, are we including the Minnesota days? Because it seems kind of horseshit in their eyes that you guys get to count those.
I think we're only 1 behind though, right? If we're including those, or if we're not.
Yeah, I'd have to look it up to be perfectly honest. Right now, it's full of playoff stats and what the matchups are, and you get older, you can only make room for so much shit.
All right, so what are our final predictions before we move on from sports here? Jader, let's start with you, man. You really going with the Heat?
I'm not. I actually said Lakers in 5, man. I want to say Heat in 6. I hope it's Heat in 6, but I'm a realist, man. As much as I love my team, and you just said it, you know, we're still a young team. What I love about them is they honestly love to play together, man. And you can tell again that, you know, they're super hungry for this. You know, every single one of them wants this win. You know, so we might see the best team yet that we've seen in the playoffs now, but I can't bet against the Lakers, dude. It sucks to say because I'm here with Jersey, but I'm a realist, man, and I know what a scary team the Lakers are. So,
Matt, who do you got?
Lakers in 6, but I'd love to see Heat in 7. I would love that. That would make that to me is the best series possible. But I think Lakers in 6. Hypothetically, Lakers in 5, but I think the Heat are too scrappy to lose 2, to not get 2.
That's where I'm at too. I feel like the Heat aren't going to be easily taken. I mean, the Lakers have played 3 5-game series. They've been easily able to take people out, especially the first 2 series where they lost the first game, and then they just rattle off 4 straight.
Yep.
So that's where I'm kind of at Lakers in 6 too. I think the Heat are going to put up a fight in every single game, but at the end of the day, the Lakers got this. LeBron's not losing another championship. Like this is it.
I mean, there are certain things the Heat need to do. They need to stop transition because the Lakers are the best in the league at transition. It's not even close. So you need to stop that immediately, as quick as you possibly can. And then the Lakers turn the ball over in the playoffs so far, 4 games more a game. So take advantage of that. Like the Heat have been pretty good. 11 turnovers. Celtics were at 14. The Lakers are at 15 and change.
Yeah.
So if you can make them pay for those 4 turnovers. Yeah. Continue to shoot threes at the volume that you're capable and the percentage. You got a shot. You got a real shot.
Well, we'll see what happens. Game 1 begins in about an hour and a half. So
that means we got an hour and 20 before we got to get off, bro. So let's get to it.
Shit, dude, we got an hour 15. I got to pee. I got to get some food. I need to get a drink. Like I'm not, although the game technically doesn't start for another like 12 minutes after.
12 minutes after. Yeah, exactly. I said like around 9:15 our time. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited for that and the film we're talking about today. So let's get to it, man.
So when we reached out to you, Matt, you gave us a list of a couple movies to choose from, and we put them all in the poll. And this was a runaway. Jader, I don't know if you had a chance to see the poll. Like this movie that we chose won by over 12 votes compared to everything else. I think Ace Ventura 2 came in second place, which is crazy. I was telling you, Matt, like our audience is different. They didn't vote for Rogue One, which is weird. Winner of the poll was Goodfellas. And so, Matt, I'm going to start with you here. Why was Goodfellas one of the movies that you said that we should talk about on this show?
Well, A, you never talked about it.
There's one.
And B, it's one of when people say, okay, what 5 movies or what 10 movies, if you have to, whatever, you go to a deserted island type of thing. Goodfellas always makes my list.
Yeah.
If I have to make a choice, I'll take it over Godfather 2. Godfather 2 is my favorite of the, trilogy. But because Goodfellas to me is more rewatchable in that instance. And you guys hadn't talked about it yet. Thankfully, I got in relatively early. Yeah, this is going to go along with, it'll probably be a while before anybody else suggests Ace Ventura 2.
Yeah, that's not going to happen for a while.
He knows how much I love Jim Carrey, dude. So when I saw it on your list, I was like, fuck yeah, there's a chance. And it was winning for a little bit. I mean, it was one of the first votes that it started coming up there. I mean, I had like 6 votes and Goodfellas had 2. I'm like, that's going to change. And then it skyrocketed. So yeah.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, but Rogue One probably will. I can't remember what else. What was it? Raiders?
I think you had Raiders Lost Ark on there. You had Interstellar. Interstellar got no votes. Not a single vote. Yeah.
Not a single vote. Yeah.
And Nolan's had a tough time on this show because I don't think we've talked about a single one of his. No, we did what was recently? We just did one of whatever. Dark Knight's lost quite a few polls so far too, which is just crazy to think about. But Goodfellas,
people are just tired of hearing it talked about.
I think so too.
That's what I told them about Star Wars too. I feel like just people are kind of like,
that's true.
They have fatigue already, so they don't want to talk about anything of the sort. But I'm probably gonna get shit for what I'm about to say.
Go for it.
And it's Nolan related, and you already know about this. Goodfellas was my favorite movie, and I still recognize it as the better film. Since the moment I saw it. And I actually saw Goodfellas relatively young. I saw it like at 6, and I fell in love with that movie ever since. And it's just carried on. It's always been my favorite. And it only got dethroned in 2008. And by a movie that's not superior by any means, but it's The Dark Knight. Because my obsession with Batman, I guess, and the way Ledger handled everything. But everyone gets so mind blown when they're like, oh, what's your favorite movie? And I'm like, The Dark Knight. They're like, that one, why? And I'm like, if I get into it, it's a long conversation. They're like, oh, I would figure something. I'm like, well, it makes you feel any better. My number 2 is Goodfellas, and it just got dethroned now. And it again, we'll get into it how much I love this film, but people give me shit because they're like, how does The Dark Knight dethrone Goodfellas? And I'm like, at that moment in time, I just connected with that film in another level. But yeah.
Yeah, taste is subjective.
I mean, yeah. It's interesting, Jader, because like I didn't even know that Goodfellas was your second favorite movie of all time. I had no clue about that. Yeah, and actually, Matt, go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, because like Matt, you brought up like I don't know if anyone's gonna put Goodfellas on the list for a little bit. We actually have 2 people who decided that they want to have Goodfellas in the future as one of their movies on the poll. So that's gonna go quick. But as far as for me, like I'm not the biggest Scorsese guy. Like I appreciate and respect everything he's ever done in his career, but I don't go back to his movies a lot. For some reason I don't go back to them as much. It's it's a lot of gangster stuff, and even though he's got other things out there, to me it's just not one of those directors I'm like, oh, I got to go see the next Scorsese movie. Like I didn't think The Irishman was that good, to be completely honest. And then rewatching Goodfellas after seeing The Irishman, it's like it felt like he was trying to recreate Goodfellas and couldn't quite get there.
Yeah, he was. Right? He was. I got that right away. It
came up really short. I mean, anything's gonna come up short against Goodfellas at this point. But so when you go back to rewatch this, I don't know how many times you guys have seen it at this point. What is something that stands out to you? Is this a movie they pick up something different every time, or is that entertainment value always there?
No, go ahead.
I mean, I can't say I pick up anything new at this point. I've seen it a lot of times. I'll go back and just hunt for scenes, whatever I'm in the mood for. Sometimes it's the entire movie, and other times it's just, you know what? I want to see when Karen wakes him up with a gun in his face and just watch him, Karen. And it just it's such good acting from Leota and both sides, the entire scene itself. Or when he beats the crap out of the guy that makes a sexual pass, the Karen's neighbor.
Oh yeah.
Bad acting from the friends because they're just like,
yeah.
But it kind of seems genuine because it's what 1960 something or other, maybe early 70s, but I think it's 1960s at that point, early 1960s. And they're just these straight-laced kids. They've never seen a fucking mobster. They live out in the suburbs and to watch, but it's got a million moments like that.
Yeah. I mean, Jader, this is one of your favorite movies.
Same with me. I can't say that I do pick up anything new when I watch the movie. It's the entertainment factor. Again, a quotable film. And it's just, again, it's something as a kid that I shouldn't have been watching that movie. But again, I've said this multiple times on this show. My mom never really censored me. My mom was into all this stuff. So I would see these movies rather early, I feel like censorship was a lot different back then than how it is now. Remember, man, I think I said this on the show again. I had toys for Terminator and RoboCop, and those movies are freaking violent, and they were they were marketing them for kids back then.
Mm-hmm.
There were actual Terminator and RoboCop toys, and your Toys R Us section where you can get the action figures and all that shit. But yeah, again, it's the story, man, the characters about this film, and again, I know we'll jump into categories and all that, but one of my favorite things in this movie, to be honest with you, is, and I guess we're gonna just start talking favorite scenes and all that, is literally the opening of this film. The opening of this film is a shot of the 3 guys just driving. You hear the thump. You don't know what to expect. Obviously, they open the trunk. This guy is bleeding completely crazy, and you just see Joe Pesci just get in there, and then you have that opening line. All my life, I wanted to be a gangster. Rags to Riches by Tony Bennett starts playing, dude. And it's literally starts like what the American dream is, like that song. It's just everything is on point with that movie, man. The opening scene for me is fantastic. And it just takes you on this grand adventure of, again, how Henry, and you even notice, like, you cut from that to Henry being a young guy. I said, being a gangster was better than being the president of the United States, how he was admiring this life from afar, from a window, until he got his way in. And it just, the movie takes off from there of like, the greatness and the dips of, the mobster life, man. So.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's funny that, I guess we're just going to jump right into the categories then, Jader.
Sorry, dude. Sorry.
So I'm going to throw it to you then. What is your pick for best scene in Goodfellas?
Oh, I don't know if I saw that on the list.
Yeah, it's number 1.
Oh, I went right past it down to the Mahershala Ali.
Okay, let me go ahead.
Let's see, best scene. All right, well, okay, I'll just pick a random one because we'll get to 2 others.
Probably.
Because I don't know that there is one specific one because
exactly, it's such a great film.
Exactly, I can pick and choose. I love when the guy is bleeding and he comes into Tootie's place And he's like, you're getting blood. Like he's just this affront of, I don't care about this schnook type of attitude and trying to teach Henry. And, it's almost.
He goes, what's that? He smacked him across the head.
Yeah. Out of him.
8 aprons.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go with the scene with Spider, where the two scenes, I guess, where Spider first gets shot in the foot and then he dies after it. Because, man, it's kind of like a symbol of how the gangster lifestyle could just take away innocent youth. Like this guy is just trying to make a living, trying to make a couple extra bucks on the side, and this hot-headed gangster is going to take his life away just because he didn't get his water. Like it's almost like it's how we would feel being in that gangster situation. Like we're not cut out for this lifestyle. And this kid didn't know he was running into, and to see him die, it's hard. So that's one of the ones that affects me quite a bit whenever I see Goodfellas. Is like, man, I really wish that this kid would get out of it. Like, please don't get shot this time. And he always it surprises me every time too when Pesci just pulls out the gun.
Yeah, there's a nice little callback to Sopranos in that scene. I don't know if you've ever seen The Sopranos, but Michael Amperoli, which is Spider, plays Tony Soprano's son. Is it his son or his nephew? I don't even fucking remember. But anyways, he plays this character named Chris, and he has the scene where he's Pesci and he shoots somebody. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was a great callback to Goodfellas. I had two scenes picked out for my favorite. So since you guys didn't mention it, I had to give it props. And it's that scene, and it's mostly the cinematography and camera work from both. I don't know how to say his last name, man, but Michael Ballas, which is the cinematographer of the film, and Scorsese. That one take where he's showing Karen the Coco Cabana Club for the first time, and it's just the camera just follows them throughout, and it just shows. Obviously, we get Henry in the beginning where he's wanting to be part of this lifestyle, to being part of this lifestyle, to being one of Paulie's go-tos, right? And then it shows the power of when he finally takes Karen on the date, and just everything, how he's saying hi to everybody, and the camera's just following them, and then he gets a seat in the middle of the club, like on some boss shit, like love that scene. It just shows how powerful the character at that moment in time is, and I think that was great from both, again, the cinematographer and Scorsese.
So when people talk about the greatest one takes of all time, that scene always comes up, and I can't understand why. Like, why is this one of the greatest wonders I've ever that people have ever seen? I don't understand. Like, I watched something like Birdman or what 1917 just did this past year. I feel like those are just so much more well done and illustrate something so much more than what Goodfellas is. Like, we're just watching him walk into a club. Why is that thing so apart?
The style of the shot also helps to sell the euphoric feeling that Karen's going through, because they're just floating through. So to have it as a single and tables come flying in and people duck out of the way, and it's this choreography of humanity around the illusion that she's creating for herself as to what this guy is, as opposed to what we know him to be. He intimidates people through fear, death, whatever the case takes. So the dream aspect of it for her is really sold by the continuous one shot.
I guess that's just Scorsese's way of directing. Like that was his way to show that
making magic. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I was like, I just said it, Kyle. I said why this is awesome. God damn.
I can't believe you don't like Scorsese. He's in the equivalent to the Lakers of directors.
Whoa, let's relax. That's Spielberg. Spielberg gets all the best guys and brings them to his team and then wins championships.
Yeah,
right?
But there's more drama overall that's akin to like the Kobe and Shaq years, man. They were just knifing each other in the back through the press and all kinds of random. So many stories have come out over the years. It seems more Scorsese. On the front of it, sure, Spielberg, but behind the scenes, nah.
All right, let's move on to the next category, best line in the movie. Matt, I'm going to start with you in this one. If you have one of these, I know you kind of skipped over it at first. Do you have?
That. You already knew that I didn't have one.
That's right.
So to make me look the fool twice in a row, you're going to open with me, as opposed to going to Jader and giving me a second to kind of rifle through my mind. It's the closing.
I got it. You know what?
It's all right.
Reveal my secrets.
Pass the assist. I got you, man.
The closing line when he realizes what his previous life and what he's kind of ended up in. You know, he always wanted to be a gangster, but the flip side of that is inevitably you're either going to jail or you die. That's the only way out. And he found another one. And the crazy thing is, the flip side of that story is My Blue Heaven, which is still based on Henry Hill. It just takes it for comedic purposes. So if you want to continue on with the movie, watch Steve Martin play the same character, just in different capacity once he goes into witness protection. But you know, him bitching about getting noodles with ketchup on it, and they call it, you know, he misses his old gravy. Just, I don't know. It's just the bittersweet nature of it that some people find fault with the ending. And I think it only has a couple plausible endings. So this to me is as realistic as any other. So I liked it for that. It's honesty.
Yeah. Mine kind of well, it was obviously being all my life I wanted to be a gangster. I kind of threw out there, so I didn't have to say it twice. But
it's the iconic one from the film,
of course. But kind of piggybacking off of what Matt said, it's when he gets pinched for the first time, and Jimmy's character goes up to him and he goes, "No, you didn't break any rules." He's like, "I'm sorry, I got pinched." And he goes, "No, you're fine." He goes, "You never rat on your friends, and you always shut your mouth." One of my favorite lines of all time, because at the end, we all know how this movie ends, where he does the you know, that because of that, they had so much love for Henry. They always trusted Henry. Again, Henry was their go-to.
Henry was a great kid.
He was, man.
Henry was a great kid. But
and then
Jimmy the gent tried to off Karen. Hey, go get a dress.
Yeah. Whoa,
second door. No, keep going. Keep
going.
We're
gonna get to that because again, it kind of goes full circle where Henry breaks that one rule that they told him to do, and then he ends up being, you know, obviously in the shitter because he knew what he had to do, because he knew his life was in danger. He knew at the end of the film when he sits down with him for the last time that he's like, this guy's gonna fucking kill me, you know? Yeah. So that's one of my favorite lines in the film, or it is the favorite line in the film. Because again, it goes full circle. It helps him get kind of into the life where he gets to, well, he was already respected, but like really, really, really like in there with them to doing the exact opposite, and obviously getting isolated, witness protection, the whole night, disappearing, and, you know, always saying that he had to like turn his back and shit. Like not turn his back, but like, you know, watch his back because he never knew when they were going to get him.
Sure.
Yeah. So Jimmy Conway is probably my favorite character in this film, and the introduction to him is the line I'm going to go with. It's Jimmy was the kind of guy who rooted for the bad guys in the movies. I really like the line because it gives us an immediate semblance to who this character is going to be. Like this is the type, like you just put yourself in their shoes, like watching a movie and you're rooting for the bad guys every single time. That's the guy who's running all these gangster things. He's going to be a cool character. So that's the one I go with here. I got a couple casting what ifs. I was able to do some research and found some of these. First off, Al Pacino was offered Jimmy Conway, but didn't want to be typecast, so he turned down the role. That could have been our first Scorsese-Pacino combination, but he turned it down. That would have been something special, too, to see him play Jimmy Conway.
He was supposed to be Jimmy?
Yeah, he was offered Jimmy.
All right. I mean, I like it, but I all day would take De Niro, to be honest with you.
Yes.
Like, I can't imagine Jimmy Conway being anybody but De Niro.
I'm going to have quite a few Henry Hill casting what ifs in here. First, Ray Liotta turned down Harvey Dent in 1989's Batman to be in this movie. And clearly he made the right choice because Harvey Dent really had no role in 1989 Batman. So good for him. Let's see. I got Ellen Barkin was considered for Karen at one point, but obviously went to someone else. John Malkovich turned down Jimmy Conway. So that's another one.
Oh, shit.
That was almost there. Sean Penn was considered for Henry Hill.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That would have worked. So if you think about some of the bigger names during this time is who you're going to see. Tom Cruise was also considered for Henry Hill at one point. Didn't take it.
What does that mean?
What do you mean?
Yeah, but what does that mean? He was considered. You could say that about anybody. If it was present day, The Rock was considered. Yeah, they considered it and said, that dude does not fit the mold of what we need to be. Nothing against him. Great guy.
What about an audition then? Because I got Alec Baldwin auditioned for the role of Henry.
Okay, that's serious. That's legit.
Yeah, but I actually see
like
that,
that.
like, you know, but I don't like that. Exactly. I don't like that at all. But I can see that. I can see Baldwin going to audition, and they were like, nah, nay, sir.
No, he just doesn't look the part.
Yeah.
No, not when you think about it now with Ray Liotta in the part. I can't picture Alec Baldwin, and his voice too kind of doesn't work for it. So, I got right here. Not a casting what if, but Paul Sorvino. He wanted out 3 days before shooting. He was ready just to quit this movie, and I guess that like 2 days before, he looked at himself in the mirror and saw how awful he looked. He's like, you know what? I do look like the role for this character. Just cold hearted.
Did they say why he wanted out?
They said that he didn't feel like his personality matched the character. So he was worried that he wasn't gonna be right for the character. And then he saw himself in the mirror and how like distraught he looked, and he said, "You know what? I'm gonna stick with this character." Because he actually called his agent and said he wanted out, and his agent told him to, sit over the night, think about it, and see what happens. So that would have been a little different right there. I don't know, who do you go with if Paul Sorvino doesn't take that role? I mean, think about early '90s. I don't know who could take that role. No,
I don't know. I feel like this film is actually like pretty perfect casted, man. To be honest with you, like, and obviously it doesn't help that we think this film is a masterpiece, and now that we're talking about it, freaking what year? 30 years later, we're talking about this movie. And,
oh wow, 30 years, that's crazy.
Yeah, 1990, dude.
Yeah.
And 30 years later, we're talking about this movie, about casting what ifs, when we think, again, at least Knost and I love this film.
Yeah.
So anybody that you throw at me, I'll be like, no, that he wasn't right for the film. It's, but if you're thinking early '90s, who's gonna play Paulie?
I don't know. I can't think of an Italian actor who would fit the role at that point. I'd have to see,
or who wasn't in that movie already.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Tim had a good suggestion here. Danny Aiello, he could have done it.
Yeah.
Danny Aiello would have been fine. All right, let's go to the Mahershala Award for Best Sharpshooter. Oh, what?
Really? Just going to gloss over Danny Aiello would be?
He'd be pretty good in that role, don't you think? I mean, he kind of.
I guess it's. I mean, him or what's his name that was in part 3? He's from Chicago. He did a bunch of TV work.
Jader, you're in the Schmodown. You got this.
For what? What movie?
Was it Mantegna? Yeah, Joe Mantegna.
Joe Mantegna.
But he would have been too young for him. I guess Danny Aiello. I don't know who else you would choose.
I mean, you could go the easy way with Gandolfini, but
yeah, but there wasn't a Gandolfini. It was years later.
Right.
Yeah, dude.
So
like, go watch him in Crimson Tide. It's weird. It is. You're expecting, Tony, and you see him, and he's a good actor. I'm not saying it was a bad. It's just like you're expecting him to not be like this because he's just so powerful.
Right. Okay, let's go on to the Mahershala Award for Best Sharpshooter. The character who's does the most with the least amount of time. I think we kind of stick with the same person we just talked about here. I think Paul Sorvino. He's not in the movie too much, and when he is, like, you really do like his character. He's the guy that you're intimidated by, but he's never gonna yell at you. And that was my pick for it, because every time he was on screen, it was a guy that I was really drawn to. So I'm gonna go with Paul Sorvino here. Jader, I'm gonna throw it to you though. Who do you got for this?
You motherfucker! I started with this. I have answers now, and now you deviate away.
Because the thing is that, I mean, Mahershala Award I always see as the Best Supporting Actor award, right?
Okay.
My pick was Joe Pesci. I think he's
one of the main guys.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. But he's a supporting actor. At the end of everything, it's Henry's story.
You cheater.
I'm cheating. Fuck that. Oh, I'm going to take the best answer, of course.
Matt, who are you going to take on this?
Yeah, well, I guess, I didn't read this as the same definition. It's a shorthand between the two of you. So I don't know what that's referencing outside of potentially Moonlight.
It's absolutely Moonlight.
Yeah. But reading into it, I was like, well, if you really just get to the nuts and bolts of the question, who does the most with the least amount of screen time is your question.
Yeah. That's how we do it. Yeah.
It's there's only one answer. Least amount of screen time, Jimmy 2 times. Trying to get the papers.
I like that. Get the papers.
I've remembered him since the first time I saw him. What does he utter? A couple lines? I'm gonna get the papers. And then, why do they call him Jimmy two times? Because he says everything twice. Just the fucking. It's a great nickname. It's a great character. He's in and out. It's like one of those small Star Wars characters. You're like, oh yeah, what was that dude's name? And then you can ask if you know anybody like Knapsack or something like that, and just like, oh yeah, it's so and so. How do you not know that? And I was like, oh, because I don't know. I don't know that. But thank you. It's awesome. I love doing that shit. Whenever I see Knapsack, I'll try and think of the most obscure thing. Hey, what is this? What is this called? It's like I asked him, so it's a mining colony in the clouds. What are they mining? And then he was like, oh, it's this. And then they use that as a product for this. And I was like, motherfucker, this is great.
What the fuck?
I mean, they'd say mining colony, but you gloss over that because it's Space Cowboys and it's a lot of fun.
Let me tell you, man, some of these fucking guys in the league, dude, are incredible. Like the shit that they know. I'm like, but again, why do they know that? How do they know this shit? They just dive deep in there. You get me? Like, obviously, we're watching movies. We know supporting. We know plot details. Again, cinematographer, all that shit. But knowing the mining and knowing what the mining does that wasn't referenced in a fucking movie, it's insane to me. Like, and the way he dives into the books, it's just insane. When I talk to Knapsack, it's the same thing. I'm like, what the fuck? How do you know this, man?
Yeah.
All right. The Bill Murray Award for Best Cameo. Matt, do you want to go first on this one then? Do you feel ready for this one?
I was ready for the last one.
All right. Who's your pick?
You could say Sam Jackson, but that wasn't a cameo. That was a role.
Okay.
He was still a young up-and-coming actor. That's the first one that leapt to mind. I was like, that's not really a cameo because cameo is usually from established or you know who they are.
Right.
So I went with his mom, who plays Pesci's mom, that makes him food. That's Catherine Scorsese. That's
Catherine Scorsese. That was my pick.
Yeah, I knew that was her when I saw it the first time, and I was like, "What a great spot for your mom!" Like this, and it's the only cameo I can come up with because there's no real stunt casting like Bill Murray flying in.
No, and that's why I went with Samuel Jackson because I saw this movie way after you guys did, and
call me old.
Yeah, you're a little. I'm younger. That's who it is. But when me going back to watch this movie after it's been out for so many years, Samuel Jackson's already a big star, so I see Sam Jackson in this, and like, hey, there he is, and then he's gone in 2 scenes. So that's why I went with him. But Jader, you said you had Scorsese too.
Scorsese's mom, yeah. And I know I have little fun facts about the film. You know, she actually did he made his poor mom. I mean, I guess he was paying her obviously, but ironed every single shirt in that film because only she can get it perfect to the way he wanted when he was shooting the film. So she was every single collar that woman ironed in that film. A little fun fact there. One of my favorite scenes is where her actually right after they kill Billy Batts and then they go to her house and she hasn't seen Tommy for a long, and it's crazy how she's that character versus the spawn of a demon son that she produced. Yeah. How fucking insane how they're complete opposites. And I love that scene because you can tell when Henry let's go back a little on Pesci. The scene where the funny house scene where he makes Henry nervous for the first time. That's really like the first scene where we see what a psycho this guy is, right? It's the very first scene where you can tell you're like, oh, this guy's off the rails. You don't know too much because prior to that he was always fine or whatever. Like you see that, when they're selling the cigarettes and he's running as young Tommy, he's the one that tells him, hey, Henry's about to get pinched and all this. And then we fast forward, we get Pesci's character, but you've never seen him really explode. This scene happens, and then shortly after, the guy's telling him, hey, about the whole tab thing, grabs the bottle, cracks it over his head, and you just see he's completely psychotic. Then fast forward to when they kill Billy Batts. I love how when he keeps there, go get your fucking shine box, and he fucking explodes, tells him all this shit, tells him to keep him there. They kill the guy, and his line to Henry is kind of laughing, I didn't want to get blood on your floor. He wasn't worried about killing this. He was worried about getting blood on the floor. And that just tells you everything about Tommy. But you fast forward to the scene with his mom where, it's a quieter scene, this and that and that. And she has a picture of the dog, the guy that looks like Billy Batts. And you can tell, obviously, from that point, Henry's already dude, this is not the lifestyle, not the lifestyle that I didn't want, but he was weary about what happened. And then you kind of see like the dog going one way, and she mentions it, and the dog going this way. And I kind of feel like it's Billy Bats, and it's like Henry's character at a crossroads. Like, what way am I going to go? Am I going to keep going the gangster route? I'm going to go the other route. So I thought that was, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I've never looked at him as part of the weird. You can tell he's having trouble processing that, but I never took that as a crossroads moment personally. So I've never heard that take before. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jader got deep there.
I fucking love this movie.
I know you do. I can tell. Okay. The Gary Oldman, everyone for best overacting. So this is an award that is 80% compliment, 20% insult. And I went with Ray Liotta every single time he laughs in this film. Just the moment where he laughs, because it is way over the top. You can see what he does with his hands, and he's looking around everywhere. His mouth's way wide open compared to what he usually does. So every single time he did this, I would just be like, all right, it's a little bit ridiculous. It's a GIF now that you see on Facebook or Twitter or whatnot. So that's my pick for the overacting award. Matt, who do you got for this?
I say that's the thing. I couldn't come up with a legitimate one because I think everyone, if they're too over the top, like Morty would be a bit much if he was all the time. But the fact that he comes in and out and he's just this a little annoyance, and when he's got to go, you kind of agree, which is weird. Yeah. All the other people get killed, it's like they're part of the life. But Morty was just breaking balls, and he wanted his piece of the Lufthansa heist. And but
you feel bad for him.
Yeah, you do, but it's like it's not bad. I think it leaves an impression. I couldn't think of one in there, which is like, you know what, that in that specific, outside of like the kids reacting to their friend getting punched in the face with the butt of a gun, but it's not overacting. It's a choice. I didn't have one. So Jader, if you got one, go for it.
No. I've honestly, it's happened to me with, and it happens to me with films I love. I don't know if you noticed this, Kyle, but there's just a lot of movies where I was like, I think it's been twice where I'm like, I really don't have one. I was thinking, and it's not even overacting, it was just more of an annoyance, but understandably so. And it was actually Morty's wife, where she just storms into the house. But again, she's a concerned wife. It's not really overacting. It's just her character being obviously in distraught or worried because she doesn't know what really went down at that time. But that's who I had. Morty's wife. I didn't even have Morty, because I feel like the same thing with Morty. Every time it was in and out. But it's true when they, I just pick him at the end of the movie. I was like, hey, he had to go, man.
Hey, he's running his mouth.
He's
running his mouth. Stacks, hey, look, we all like Stacks. He's a great guy. Mm-hmm. But he had one job. And then just like, he kind of had to take Stacks out. Now, do I think Jimmy the Gent went a little over the top, killed a few too many people? Probably.
Absolutely.
Really covering his bases. I mean, kind of impressive.
And it's crazy that he, kills everyone, obviously, to keep the money himself and make sure that nobody rats out or, buys, pink Cadillacs and shit like that, or fur coats. But he ends up saving Tommy and Henry, and Tommy gets killed 2 scenes later. And it's like, you can tell, obviously, when he's beating the shit out of the phone, he's distraught because he's like, man, I just wiped out half of the people that I spent over 20 years with. And then here they go and they kill one of my best friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the guy that was going to basically protect them. Once he gets anointed, they're part of his crew. Just like it's one of their own rising up the ranks.
Is there an argument to be made for Karen after she goes over the deep end? Like when she's banging on the doorbell, yelling at the other woman and just keeps smashing that thing. Is that a little bit of overacting right there?
She's married to a mobster.
Yeah,
who's constantly, is he going to go to jail? Going to be killed? Be on the run? Like the constant stress of that. And then to find out that he's got somebody on the side. It's like, what is this bullshit?
After she's held him down, first of all, remember that, man. As soon as she took, she knew what was going on. Obviously, hearing these, I love that scene also when the wives are talking amongst each other, and she's kind of like not judging them quietly. She's not really out there about it, but she's judging them. She's like, "Oh my god, this and that and that," and then she turns out to like thinking that maybe Henry's not doing all these things that they're hearing, and then she ends up being part of the, that stereotype, if you will, and even her again, where she defied her parents when he was out, getting drunk or whatever, coming home late, the mom getting into their business, telling her mom to stay out of it, beats the shit out of the guy, takes the gun. So she was there for him, You know, like obviously seeing everything was going on and him getting fucking high as a fucking kite with another chick there, it's gonna be upsetting. So
yeah,
I think she actually played that part pretty well.
So Ray Liotta wins then? Is that what we're saying?
I guess, man.
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, is that the next question?
No, so I mean, the next thing we have here is interesting details. Just a couple of things I found while doing research for this film. Robert De Niro money for the scenes where he, keeps money in his hand. So the prop master gave him $5,000.
Dude, you gotta rewind a little bit, bro. You completely got out.
All right, I'll reset that. Can you guys hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're good now.
Okay, so Robert De Niro wanted to use real money for the scenes where he passed out money to everyone because he said the fake money felt weird in his hand. So the prop master gave him $5,000 of his own money, and at the end of the day, nobody would go home until he got every single dollar back. So that must have been pretty funny. Hey, I'm missing $10
here. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I didn't think they were allowed to do that. That's why there was fake money. I guess when you have that large amounts, you can't have that on set just for liability because somebody could easily steal. But
yeah,
I thought it was like the stop counterfeiters or some shit like that. Like the Secret Service had to step in and tell them they couldn't do it. But I had nothing to base that on. I've just never thought about it.
According to Scorsese, real-life mobsters were hired as extras without his knowledge, and they used fake social security numbers. And still to this day, they don't know how they got paid. They somehow got paid at the end of the day for their work, but we don't know how they got paid. That's a little like it's one of those things where like gangsters working on a gangster movie. It's a fun little story thrown there, but I don't know how true that is, but that's what Scorsese has said before.
1990 and 1989 in New York, it's very true. It's very true. If that's where the shooting locations were, New Jersey, New York, yeah, 100%.
It makes sense. I got most of the film was improvised, which it's weird to hear from a Scorsese film because I feel like his stuff is mostly straight to the script, and hearing that a lot of it was improvised is really something fascinating. Especially the scene with Joe Pesci and Ray Liotta talking about, hey, why do you think I'm funny? Funny how? That's mostly Joe Pesci just going back and forth on that because you can see kind of how Ray Liotta is still taken aback by that, and I guess Joe Pesci had a situation like that happen in his life at one point, where someone was making fun of him for his height, and he went back and forth with them. So Scorsese heard that and said he wanted to put it in the movie, and that's what we got. And then finally, Marlon Brando tried to persuade Scorsese not to make the film according to Martin Scorsese. I don't know why, but I guess Marlon Brando didn't want Scorsese putting this film out there. So I've never heard.
I know. Coppola had issues filming The Godfather. I was watching a documentary not too long ago.
Oh no!
Yeah. But no. That's Apocalypse Now. Is in the Heart of Darkness. Yeah. But no, for The Godfather, he was getting a lot of shit, like on set, like people having drive-bys, like threatening, saying that if he released this film, there was going to be issues, yada yada.
Oh, okay.
And all that stuff. I read about that. I had no idea about Goodfellas. So yeah, I had no idea about that. I don't know why. Why would Brando not want it? Like, it makes no sense.
That's the question, right? Like, what's his problem?
Yeah. That's weird.
Apex Mountain. So the point of someone's career where they're at their peak, where it's never going to get better for them after this, they could do whatever they wanted in Hollywood. This could go to quite a few people. Jader, I'm going to start with you, man. Who's your pick for this?
Liotta.
That's the easy.
It's the easy. I mean, it's the truer answer for me. It's Ray Liotta, mostly because I don't think he's ever surpassed this character of Henry Hill. I like a lot of Liotta films. I like him as an actor perfectly fine, but for me, this is the top of the top. And you can ask anybody who's going to mention a Ray Liotta film, they're not going to mention No Escape. They're the first movie that they're going to think of is going to be Goodfellas. So for me, this is it. And again, I almost put Scorsese, to be completely honest with you.
I think we should talk about that.
We will. But I have a movie that I think is Scorsese's best, or at least one of his best. And this is again my favorite Scorsese film, but it's probably not his best. So we'll jump into it because I'm pretty sure where the conversation is going to come up.
Well, I think there's quite a few conversations to have for a lot of people here, but Matt, I want you to throw in your pick first. Who would you pick for Apex Mountain?
Well, the tricky part is the aspect of they could do whatever they wanted. And that was never true for Leota, even after this.
But this was the highest peak he got in his career.
True.
Yeah.
This is the apex of his career, hands down.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's done some interesting shit since then.
Like, I thought he was good last year in Marriage Story as the.
Sure.
I thought he was
Killing Him Softly, Narc. I'm trying to think of what else.
I liked him in Field of Dreams. He was great in Field of Dreams. We reviewed that movie here.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that predates this by a year or two, doesn't it?
I think it's a year. Yeah, 89.
Yeah, it was 89, and then he did good. But 89 was Field of Dreams. He did Copland. A lot of people don't like Copland. I think Copland's great.
That's good.
So
yeah, that specifically.
What was it? Oh, you know what role I fucking love Leota in? I love him as George Young's dad in Blow.
Oh,
okay.
He was just always there for him.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love him in that movie.
It's funny, you don't see him too much anymore. You see him on like Cialis commercials.
I did a bunch of shit movies that really had nothing to do with him, be it like it being shit, like Wild Hogs, which I never saw.
Oh yeah.
But I know that he's in it. He's
in Wild Hog. He was in Hannibal.
That movie sucks.
That movie sucks. Identity. He was in Identity.
I like that movie.
I like it. No. I'm not saying it's a shit movie. I like Identity. I actually like
but it's a small part. It's a John Cusack movie.
Yeah. John Q.
I haven't seen it since I saw it.
Yeah.
The point is, he didn't reach Goodfellas status ever again after this.
No, that's
wasn't he in the second Sin City? He was in the second Sin City, wasn't he?
You're asking the wrong guy on that one.
Yeah.
I've seen Sin City once. Like, I get it. And if I had read the comic before, I think I would appreciate it as much as everybody else that does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's cool as shit, but it's not, not unlike Watchmen. If I had never read Watchmen, I don't know that I would ever gone back to watch the director's cut. But I watched the director's cut going, maybe he can pull this off.
Did you think he did?
That thing is impossible.
I read the graphic novel literally 2 days before that movie came out. And I thought he got that damn close, but
yeah, it's interesting. I mean, especially what's his name? Crude Up's character, Mr.
Dr. Manhattan.
Dr. Manhattan, thank you.
Yeah.
A big blue something that exists outside of our physical understanding of what life could be. But it's like a god, but not a god, but a god. Time doesn't affect him, doesn't exist for him. It's like, and it pulls it off, and you're like, that is amazing. And Rorschach was better than the graphic novel, just with the moving face
that was
mask.
awesome.
And, so, some aspects of it are just amazing.
And that Rorschach scene in jail when you're not locked up in here. Locked up in here with me.
How would we never heard that before? How had we never heard that line? And then as soon as you hear it, you're like, that is so simple and genius. Yeah. You're locked in here with me. Oh, okay. This is a problem. This guy seems a little too excited to be locked up right now.
Yeah, dude.
It's kind of like there was a riff on it in Guardians of the Galaxy where Rocket, when they first go into the prison, and Rocket's got Peter and all of them there, and he's like, hey, if you want this guy, you got to go through us, or more specifically, we go through you. That's another one of those simple lines too that I haven't heard before in movies.
Yeah,
man.
As far as Apex goes, does Pesci qualify for this? Is this the apex of Pesci's career? He won an Oscar for it.
I have it for another award, so I don't want to use his name.
We'll get to that one. But as far as his career goes, like Pesci,
in Casino,
yeah, man.
Like he only acts when he wants to now.
The argument can be made, though. I won't get mad if either one of you would have picked that character, because I feel like his Tommy character was the same in Casino, but he did Tommy first.
Sure.
You get me? But yeah, the argument can be made. It's just, for me, it's Leota. Leota, this is the height of his career. Again, you can still argue what Pesci did with Casino, and even in The Irishman, man. I know you didn't like that movie that much, but I thought Pesci's character was amazing in that, because he was the Paulie. He was the Paulie. He was very reserved, which I wasn't expecting. Obviously, when you hear Pesci's back with Scorsese. You're expecting, an explosive character, especially since they said they were going to use the de-aging and all that. But he was always very subtle, and I loved his character because, again, very laid back. Like, I will murder you. Just letting you know, man. That thought that he was great. But yeah, Pesci, and again, like 1990 was a great year for him because he had Goodfellas and he also did Home Alone.
That's right.
Yeah, that movie. I mean, look, it should be terrible.
Like My Cousin Vinny.
My Cousin Vinny should be terrible. He also did, 8 Heads in a Duffel Bag and the Super, and he had a run of some shit films in there, but he worked.
The Lethal Weapon films.
Sure. Lethal Weapon 2 is a gem. I love that movie.
Yeah, absolutely, John. It's a very underrated sequel, in my opinion. I like that you mentioned that, Knost. I like this guy. Yeah, so Pesci I feel like has, out of the ones that we mentioned, I feel like they were better than any other Liotta films that we mentioned.
Does De Niro qualify for this at all? Because if not, what is his apex?
Hell no.
What is it?
Hell no. Huh? Okay, so that kind of goes hand in hand with the Scorsese. For me, I don't know, man. It's Raging Bull for me, man. Okay. I absolutely love Raging Bull. I think that is De Niro's best. I think that is Scorsese's best. Pesci's in it too. So, but for me, it's Raging Bull. You guys, I don't know if you guys feel any different.
I don't think he's really had an apex. I think it's just been the equivalent of LeBron. Okay. He's been the apex predator for as long as he's been around. Even if he's in a shit movie, he's still great in it. So I don't know if he has a distinct, like Liotta's is easy. It's fucking, it's Mount Fuji. It's the perfect peak and you can see it. And it's like, almost a painting. That's how picturesque it is. Whereas De Niro seems more like the Himalayas. If you tell me that mountain over there is the highest, I got to believe you because I don't have the sense of perspective because all of this looks like giants.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, have you ever seen a picture of K2? It looks almost the same as Everest. They both look tall. I couldn't tell you that one is larger than the other. Anyway.
What about for the genre of gangster movies then? Is this the apex of it or was the Godfather or Godfather 2, I guess? Like what is the hierarchy of
This is my apex. This is
your apex for gangster movies?
For gangster movies, this is the best gangster film ever made. Again, and this is a cheating answer. I'm not going to argue that the Godfather isn't because I love that movie very, very much. 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
I know everybody gives. I'm one of the ones that give Part 3 shit. I've only seen it once. I've never cared to go back to visit that movie. I've seen Godfathers 1 and 2 well over 10 times each. But for me, it's Goodfellas. It's just I think it's easier because it takes time. The Godfather movies, as great as they are and as directed and well written and acted that they are, it has its slower moments. I don't feel like this movie really lets go until the very end. Maybe the third act gets a little bit slower. Maybe the last 25 minutes where you're like, all right, wrap this up. But other than that, I feel, again, this is one of my perfect films, in my opinion. I absolutely love this film. I am pretty sure I mentioned this in our perfect film episode. We didn't get in depth in it, but it's mine. I grew up where I had seen this movie again at a young age, and then everybody was talking up Scarface because I didn't see Scarface until I was in high school. It's one of the movies that I just never got around. When I finally saw Scarface, I appreciated, and I think it was MTV Cribs that was just blowing that shit up for me because every single rapper ever had it on the flat screen around, hey, we have Scarface playing every 24/7 in this house. And I'm like, fuck, I got to see this movie. And when I finally saw it, I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I thought it was a great film. But I don't think it touches Goodfellas or Godfather. Either one of those films.
Scarface is terrible.
So I'm like, see, there you go.
Objectively, it is a terrible. Does it have some amazing scenes in it? Sure. But Al Pacino's talking like and you're like, what is going on?
And again,
objectively,
born and raised in Miami around Cubans, they don't talk that way. Like
no,
that's not how they speak.
That's a Muppet gangster.
Yeah. So,
but the shower scene is amazing. It's utterly
amazing. Let me tell you, man. I was in high school. I had already seen a lot of fucked up movies or whatever, but that scene impacted the shit out of me. Where I was like, "Oh my god!"
The arm is just swinging, handcuffed. Yeah. You're like, listen, it's so much better than seeing the actual violence is seeing the aftermath, because now you have to put yourself in like, oh, what was that like?
Yeah,
and that terror is. F. Murray Abraham was kind of. I mean, what the fuck are we doing? Robert Loggia is the drug kingpin. Robert fucking Loggia. Is he good? Yeah, he's good in it, but it's Robert fucking Loggia.
It's Frank, man. It's Frank.
Yeah, I don't buy him ultimately in this role. They've got numerous of those. But it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's just, to me, it's like, it's not even in the discussion. I know for some people it is, and I don't think those people have seen enough movies, to be perfectly honest with you.
Thank you. I feel the same way. I feel like whenever they tell me that, I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. I'm like, automatically, best one. I have a friend, and he's probably watching because he does watch the show. He absolutely loves Scarface, and he thinks there's no better film. I'm like, are you serious? And then I'm like, have you seen it? He goes, I've seen them all, dude. Nothing tops Scarface. That is the best. I'm like, yeah, dude. I'm like, all right, man, whatever, bro.
Yeah. I know it is, but same time, taste is subjective. That's where it's like, what's the best of all time? Even though I do a show where we have to rank crap every week.
I was going to tell you about. How do you do that, man?
Well, I don't know. You just get it. I'm used to it at this point.
Yeah.
But there are numerous weeks where I'm just like, it's impossible. This is an impossible metric, even for me, because I don't know what mood am I in. There's a lot of choices here. Like best gangster, what do you feel like? Because there's also the worlds of like Miller's Crossing, which is a lot of fun, and it's still a gangster film. I've said
it on the show too. When they're like, "Hey, what's your favorite Tarantino film?" And I'm like, depends on the day you ask me. Like, there's days where it's gonna be Inglourious Basterds. There's days where it's Pulp Fiction. It's usually always Pulp Fiction, but it depends, because if I saw Inglourious Basterds the night before I do the show, I'm probably gonna pick Inglourious Basterds because as many times as I've seen that movie, I absolutely love it. So it all depends on the mood. Absolutely, 100%.
Well, I can already tell you this: if we were combining our list, that would end up somewhere in the middle to the bottom, because I don't. It's low on my list. It is low on my list.
Which one, Inglourious Basterds?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Bastards. The trailer was about the bastards. The bastards are there for 25 minutes, and then it's this long, drawn-out French woman in a fucking cinema that I do not connect with, because I was sold a bill of goods of it's Brad Pitt and a merry band of dudes caving Nazi skulls in. I was like, this is going to be amazing.
So you love the first 30 minutes
I was like, this is fucking terrible.
The first 30 minutes are good with you.
I honestly, I haven't seen it in so long. I don't even know how long I like it for.
Damn. Okay. Matt, I was actually going to ask you, though, about the top 10. Roker doesn't like the third act of Goodfellas, though, right? Like, doesn't he famously, like, he doesn't like it when he gets addicted to drugs and kind of falls off? I believe so. I don't know. I can't remember. It's hard enough for me to remember my own opinion about certain movies. So if you tell me that's what his is, that sounds about right. I believe so, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so it's this or Godfather for apex of gangster movies, right? It's one of those two. It's probably Godfather 2, right?
No, I mean, I would, if you're making a list type of thing, I would put Godfather 1 first, even though Godfather 2, I think, is the better of the two, and Goodfellas is my favorite to watch of the three. But if there is no Godfather, because gangster films were schlock. Yeah. And it was a long time. They used to be part of the, it was before Westerns type of thing, where they just churned them out. You got gangster pick after gangster pick, and then it wasn't this high exalted, and Godfather lifted it. So then we get all of this stuff that comes after.
Yeah. No, so you don't feel that that you're one of those that feels that Godfather 1 and 2 are just one long film. Like,
no, the cop out. That's a bunch of horse shit. You got to make a choice in life. Separate them. They were years apart, different actors playing the same part. When you got De Niro now cast as young Vito, yes, it's one through line of a story, but under that, then 3 is the third act, and that thing shits the bed.
Okay, so you're one of those. There's some people that say that I'm too harsh on it. I'm like, I don't think so at all. I honestly think that movie shit. It was
actually nominated for Best Picture the same year as Goodfellas.
I feel like there was just like it's Coppola. The first 2 were great. We gotta give it. It was a fucking give me.
No, I don't agree.
Don't get me started on that shit.
I think it's funny that it was nominated the same year as this movie right here. So we had 2 gangster movies the same year. Clearly, one was better than the other. But
it was always going to be nominated.
Yeah, but which one won?
Dances with Wolves.
Fuck out of here.
That's so dumb.
Fuck out of
All
here.
right. Final category. Who won the movie? So when you walk out of this and you think about Goodfellas, what is the who is the one person or the one thing, the one aspect that you think of that won this movie? And Jader, I know you got an easy one here. You kind of revealed yours earlier. Who is it?
I won the movie.
Okay.
The audience. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. It's Pesci.
Okay.
You know that I set that up earlier. Pesci for me, man. Everything about this film screams Pesci to me. He actually won the Oscar. He was the only Oscar winner. I think it was nominated for like 5 categories, if I'm not mistaken. He was the only one that won. And again, it sets up. We've seen him play different characters, but overall, like when people think Pesci, they think Goodfellas, they think Casino, and he's basically playing the same character. He did this first. Pesci all the way for me. Scorsese was the one behind him, to be completely honest with you. But I have to give love to Pesci. I'll give Scorsese the award on another film once we watch it. Sorry,
Matt. Who do you got? Who won the movie?
It's hard to argue against Pesci. Yeah, you can make an argument for Scorsese, and I think you can make an argument for Liotta. It's nothing against De Niro. It's just, once again, another peak in the mountain range. So, I would say Liotta, because I still, to this day, like, we saw Pesci great before, and we saw great Pesci afterwards, which you brought up The Irishman earlier. He was my favorite part of it.
Yeah.
So I would say Liotta, because I still think Liotta has that in him and could do it again. And I would see it for that. And I walk out of that movie now thinking of his potential. And I already know all the potential of all the others. He just hasn't had that shot again. So he wins the movie because he stays with me. But honestly, I think there's a legitimate case to be made for 3 out of the 4 primary people in this.
Yeah.
See, this is why I go with Scorsese, because when you look back at Scorsese's career, you ask someone what's the best Scorsese movie, I feel like this is his most popular, like the one that comes to mind the first. And it also might be his best based on subjectivity, obviously. Like, I know you said Raging Bull is one. I know a lot of people like Taxi Driver, Casino's out there. The Departed has its fans. But I feel like this is the one that people go back to the most and say,
Age of Innocence, man. Age of Innocence, fucking great film.
Yeah, he was. There was like a Schmodown question the other day with like, which '90s Scorsese movie was not nominated for Best Picture, and it's like, well, shit. Like, were they all nominated for Best Picture? It's weird.
They asked that question.
That was a question. I know
the answer to it.
What is it? It's like
Bringing Out the Dead.
Yes, it was like 1990.
Bringing Out the Dead. Absolutely. Yeah.
So
yeah, dude.
And that one came. Well, it's a testament to like how many great movies he put out in a row over and over and over again.
Yeah.
He's never had a dip in his career. He's always just been consistent. He hasn't made a bad movie. So to me, it's Scorsese, because this is the one that you're always going to go back to when you think of his career. And that's who won the movie to me. And that's going to do it for us, guys, on the episode of the Jader and Kyle Show, episode 26. Matt, thank you so much for joining us, man. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks for asking me. I guess enjoy the game tonight, gentlemen.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you.
You got go ahead and plug your stuff again, man. Your podcast. What do you got coming up?
Hit me up at Matt Knost. I've got the top 10 each week, where we do a top 10 based around movies, and then dropping dimes on Wednesdays and Fridays until the season's over, and then I'll have to rejigger the schedule on that one and settle the score every Thursday. But you can just follow me at Matt Knost and find all that info there.
All right, and then Jader, anything you want to throw in there?
No, I can't even plug in I don't know when the episode's going to air for the Schmodown.
Okay.
But I got the teams tournament coming. First time in teams. Super excited. I know you were dominating that shit for a while, dude. So
it was so long ago. It was a lifetime ago.
But yeah,
no. I love the trivia part of it, but once people started studying and stuff, just like, guys, I got too much other shit in my life to devote the time to keep up with you. So it's just not worth it to me.
It's crazy how much work they put in now. Like those guys who have tapes who study.
Yeah. Find me on Instagram, Infamous J13, Twitter, Infamous J13, and obviously right here on this channel once a week while me and my buddy Kyle discuss movies that you guys need to fucking watch or don't watch. We don't know.
Except for last week's movie, the Batman vs Superman. You don't need to watch that one again.
Oh my God, I forgot we did that. Yeah. Holy shit, that was last week already. I feel like that was ages ago, dude.
And yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time, another episode of the Jader